Every Friday, we are taking time to answer your most pressing questions about the coronavirus. And this morning, with many states partially lifting restrictions, we're talking about how to safely venture out in public. Big question there. This is despite the fact that a recent poll found 67% of Americans would be uncomfortable visiting a clothing store, and 78% say they'd be uncomfortable eating in a restaurant. CBS News senior medical correspondent Dr. Tara Narula joins us now to walk us through some of the guidance, the latest guidance anyhow. So as people go outside, whether they're going to a restaurant or a clothing store or just taking a walk, what precautions should they take to keep themselves safe?
Well, Tony, it's true. We're all beginning to emerge from our cocoon, but life as we know it is definitely going to be different. And it's important that we take these precautions really until we have herd immunity or we have a vaccine. So first and foremost, it's going to be important to try to keep that 6 feet distance in mind when you're going out and about, and really minimize your time in those crowded, maybe poorly ventilated spaces. Wearing a homemade or cloth mask is still going to be helpful given the rates of what we know are asymptomatic transmission. In addition, you want to practice all those good hygiene things we've talked about: hand washing, sanitizer, disinfecting surfaces, using your elbow to touch the elevator door button, the elevator button. And then you want to try to keep as little contact as possible. So online banking, telemedicine, having your pharmacy prescriptions delivered to your home, food delivery, and even things like Apple Pay, so you don't have to actually exchange cash or get your credit card out. And then finally, I know we're all going to be tempted to hug and kiss and really get close to each other, but you are going to want to continue the elbow bump or the foot tap and really trying to keep your distance.
All right, we've got a viewer question from Laura, who is interested in knowing whether, if she and a friend are both wearing masks and they're outside, can they get within 6 feet of one another for somewhat normal interaction?
Well, that's a great question. And really, the mask is still going to be important in the sense that, again, we know there's this asymptomatic transmission of the virus, and the mask is not airtight, especially the ones that people are wearing at home, the non-N95 masks. And so viruses can essentially go around the mask or through the mask or land on the mask. And so you can get infected. And really what they're meant for is preventing you from infecting others with those large droplets. But it's really not a license to break that 6 feet rule just because you're both wearing masks.
All right, we also have a question here from Julianne, who emailed in to ask a question that I have as well. Is it safe to take your kids to the park? And then I would just add on to that, if they see other kids in the park, can you let them do what kids do, get together and have fun?
Well, we have 2 kids, and we've been taking them to the park every single day. You know, kids need that fresh air and exercise. They should be getting 60 minutes of physical activity every day. And the park is a great place for that because usually it is a large, wide space where kids can maintain distance from others. So important things to remember: if you do bring toys or things for your kids, you're going to wash them when you come home. And we were in the situation recently where another family sort of wandered over and started playing with the balls that our kids were playing with. And we really had to say, you know, listen, I think we really need to keep a little bit of distance right now. So I don't think there's anything wrong with being vocal about that if that happens. And again, you want to avoid things like playgrounds where there's a lot of touching of the monkey bars and the swings. So open, wide space in the park is the best idea, away from others.
All right, and we've got a related question actually from a viewer named Amy, related because so many families, including mine, we are sheltering in place, but other families are as well. They have kids, we have kids. Can those 2 families that are both sheltering get together safely for the sake of the kids, if nothing else?
Well, it's understandable that people want to get together, and the issue is really that you don't know where the other family has been, what they've been touching, who they've been interacting with. So just because you've been sheltering in place, we're not living in a bubble, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to be exposed to the virus and potentially be able to transmit the virus. So it is a good idea to continue that separation, as hard as it is. In fact, even from New York, we have the most recent numbers showing that of the last several days, most of the hospitalizations were coming from people who were at home, who were not traveling and not working. So that just goes to tell you that shelter in place does not mean you are immune from getting the virus.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Dr. Tara Narula. Thank you. Great guidance as always.